All right, let's just jump right in. You know that really strange feeling where you're not a rookie anymore, but you're definitely not at the finish line either. You're just kind of stuck in this weird, uncomfortable middle ground. And all of a sudden, it feels like time is just getting super loud. Well, today we're gonna break down exactly what that feeling is, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
I mean, you're just scrolling, right? And your feed, it's just this constant, endless stream of everyone else's wins, their highlight reels. It feels like you're surrounded by this non-stop feed of progress. You see people your age graduating.
They're making money, landing those first big career wins.
Heck, some are even starting their own businesses. And all that visual noise, it just creates this one single thought that plays on a loop inside your head.
Yeah, I'll lock in soon. Or, next month, that's when I'll really get serious. It's that little promise we make to ourselves, right? That real life is gonna start just a little bit later. But here's the thing, that later creates this very specific kind of gnawing pressure.
Okay, so let's actually put a name to this feeling, because this is not about being lazy, and it's definitely not about a lack of ambition. Nope, it's a real phenomenon that a ton of us are feeling right now, and it all comes down to how suddenly close the future feels.
So we're calling this the 2026 gap. And what it is, it's that disconnect, right? That space between knowing exactly where you want to be in a couple of years and what you're actually doing day to day to get there. It's that feeling of, my future is so close I can taste it, but it also feels a million miles away. And that gap, man, that is prime real estate for anxiety. So the big question is, why does this gap even exist in the first place? Well, to really get it, we've got to look at these silent psychological traps that we all fall into. And listen, it's not about being unproductive. In fact, a lot of the time, it's about being incredibly busy, just with all the wrong stuff.
So here's the deal with our brains. They are just awful at understanding the middle part. It's like your brain sees the destination, say 2026, and it goes, oh, cool, that's soon. But then, when it looks at the actual process, the small, boring daily steps you have to take, it just kind of shrugs and says, we'll deal with that later. So you end up emotionally attached to the result, but completely disconnected from the actual work.
And this leads to a really dangerous thought pattern. Because you're not just sitting around doing nothing, right? You're busy, you're studying, but with no real structure. You're working, but without any clear direction. You're consuming tons of content, but you're not actually applying any of it. And at the end of the day, you feel exhausted, but not proud. And that's when this little question starts to creep in. What if all this effort is just a total waste of time?
And that right there, that brings us to the absolute core of the problem. And look, this might sting a little, but the real reason you feel so stuck, it's not because you're undisciplined or unlucky. It's because you are living like today is just a dress rehearsal. You're acting as if this moment right now is just some temporary phase you have to get through before your real life begins, as if your future success is already guaranteed.
You keep telling yourself, okay, I'll get my life together after this phase is over. But the source material just hits the nail on the head here. Phases don't end. They just change names. After exams becomes after this semester, which becomes after I land this job, which becomes, well, you get it. You can literally spend your entire life just preparing to start.
Okay, that's a lot of the heavy stuff. That's the problem. So now, let's talk solutions. And I'm not talking about fluffy motivational quotes. I'm talking about real, tactical shifts you can start making to close that 2026 gap for good.
We're gonna cover 3 really simple but super powerful steps. First, shrink your time horizon. Second, build an identity. Don't just set goals. And third, create what's called a no-zero rule. All right, let's break them down.
Okay, first up, stop planning your life in these giant, overwhelming 5-year chunks. A year is just too big. It just creates pressure, not progress. So instead, I want you to start thinking in 90-day blocks. That's it. Just ask yourself, who do I want to be in the next 90 days? We're not aiming for perfect here, just slightly better. Maybe it's one new habit, one new skill. That's actually manageable.
All right, on to step 2. And this is where it really starts to click together. This is a huge mindset shift. See, goals are kind of flimsy. They can change. But your identity, that changes your behavior almost automatically. Here's the difference. A goal sounds like, I want to be more disciplined. An identity sounds like, I am the kind of person who doesn't negotiate with my basics. See the power in that? When your identity is crystal clear, the decision is already made for you. There's no debate.
And that leads us right into the third rule, which might honestly be the most important one of all. It's the no-zero rule. Look, life is going to happen, your motivation is going to disappear, you are going to have bad days. And on those days, you have one job and one job only. Do not post a 0.
Because here's the secret sauce. It's the 0 days that absolutely murder your progress. They obliterate your momentum. But even the tiniest action, I'm talking studying for just 10 minutes instead of 2 hours, or doing 5 push-ups instead of a full workout, that tiny action keeps the engine running. It's the small days stacked one on top of the other that quietly build something great.
So, okay, how do we pull all this together and make it real? Like, not next week, not even tomorrow, but tonight. Let's get super practical right now.
But first, we need a quick emotional reset. I really need you to hear this. You are not behind. Seriously, say it yourself. You are not behind. You're just early. You're at the very beginning of building a system that works for you. So you don't need to panic. You just need to get a little bit of clarity.
And here's exactly how you get that clarity. Before you go to bed tonight, just grab a piece of paper or open up the Notes app on your phone. And I want you to write down just 3 things. Number 1, the single habit that would make the biggest difference for you. Number 2, one distraction you're going to reduce. Notice I didn't say eliminate, just reduce. And number 3, the one tiny action you commit to doing tomorrow, no matter what. That's it. That's your first step. And as you're doing this, please remember this one crucial thing. Real progress, the kind that actually lasts, it doesn't feel like a dramatic movie montage with epic music. It's not loud, it's not exciting, it feels quiet, it feels consistent. Honestly, it feels almost boring. And that's exactly how you know it's working.
So, let's wrap this up. The future that you want, it's not just going to happen on its own. It's not automatic. It's built, brick by the small, quiet, consistent things you do today. That gap we talked about, it closes one tiny step at a time. So really, the only question left is, what's your one quiet move forward going to be?